Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today will not be a typical vlog, but more of a tutorial slash how I did this. If you want to take it as a tutorial, that's fine. But this is just something I've been working on for quite a few weeks now, and I thought I'd just share it with you guys on my vlog channel. Welcome to this project I have been working on for a few weeks now. I apologize for taking so long in posting it, but it is finally done. If you are new here, I crochet. I have been crocheting since I was 16. Recently I've discovered spinning your own yarn from animal wool, and in order to do this you need, obviously, animal wool and a drop spindle to spin, and I never knew what this was until recently. And I didn't want to buy one, so I got a bamboo straw, some cardboard, tape, and a paper clip, and I made my own, and it works perfect. So long story short, we collect cans and bottles, and we were picking up from a man who had alpacas in his little farm, and he gave me 3 bags of the alpaca wool from them, so that's what I will be using to make this little alpaca toy. So what I have to do first with the wool is put it into this little mesh bag and wash it. At first I put a little bit in the washing machine on normal cycle and it tangled it up and it was like really hard to use, so I ended up throwing that out. So now what I'm doing is putting it in this bag and putting it in the machine on a gentle cycle. I didn't do anything else to it yet, I just got the fur out of the bags and put it straight in the machine. I also tried a little bit, there's Mocha. I also tried a little bit in this bucket to hand wash it myself to see if it would come out cleaner than the machine, as there was lots of dirt and everything still in the fur. So when I was hand washing it, I just used some dishwashing liquid, hot water from the jug, and I did put some fabric softener in there as well. So I just have to say, hand washing it and machine washing didn't really make a big difference. The machine washed fur was probably a little bit whiter, but overall there was still lots of dirt and everything all through the fur that I had to later brush out. So this is the fabric softener I used. I feel like it didn't really do anything. It didn't really make it smell nice or anything either. Now it's time for me to actually get in there and start hand washing it. I felt like I probably shouldn't have put it in the bag, maybe that would have got more of the dirt out, but when I was done washing it, the water was really, really dirty. As you can see there, it's only been in for a couple of seconds and it's already very dirty. I left the fur in the bucket all day and changed the water twice. Mocha's food break. I left the fur in overnight and just kept rinsing it every now and then, and now I am taking it out and drying it to spin. As you can see there, the water was very dirty when I was finished. So I actually did fill the bucket up again. This is just to rinse it off so that all that extra dirty water would go out of it, so that I wouldn't have to work with really dirty fur. So I knew it was going to take a couple of days for it to dry just naturally, and I didn't want it flying all over the yard, so I found this box and I'm just going to chuck it all in there and let it dry for a couple of days by itself. As you can see, it does get a bit matted, but not to the point where you can't undo it, so you just pull the fur apart like that. I was just noticing there that there was a lot of dirt and bits and little sticks and stuff still in it, so it is quite dirty, but all that will come out when I brush it. But it is quite easy to pull apart and let it dry. So if you want to use this video as like a tutorial and you don't really have a whole lot of money to spend like I didn't, these are the tools you'll need. So a drop spindle, if you want to make one homemade, I just used, as you can see there, a straw and cardboard and a paper clip, and 2 dog brushes. And this is what it looked like when it was dry. Actually, some of the pieces were still a little damp, but I was being really impatient and just wanted to start spinning straight away. So I just got like the driest pieces and started. So I picked out as much of the big pieces of dirt and things I could. As you can see on the table, there's a lot of little bits still, but that doesn't really matter. They usually fall out when you brush it. Now I am just brushing the fur through onto one brush so that I can get the other brush and start brushing it through to create a really fluffy texture. So I had never done this before. This was my first time. I did some research on YouTube, but that's about it. I tried to look for the answers to every question I had, but one, I didn't really want to spend a lot of money on this because I knew I wouldn't be doing it forever. I actually am making the alpaca for the man who gave me the wool. Unfortunately, he had to get rid of his alpacas, and I thought it would be nice to spin the yarn and crochet the alpaca for him, like in memory of his alpacas. So I really have no intention on continuing this. I still have 2 full bags full of the stuff, and I'm not sure if I'm going to spin it. Like, it was fun and everything, but I think just as a one time, and I'm finished the alpaca now, so I'm not sure if I will spin the rest of it or just give it to somebody. So as you can see, it's starting to get really fluffy and light how you want it, so you can create, like, I forgot what they're called, but they're like dreadlocks type things. They look just like dreadlocks. You will also need chopsticks or pencils or something like that to create this dreadlock type thing. I couldn't do it here because I didn't realize how like tough it would be, and you need someone to hold the other end, but that's basically what I'm trying to do, and that's how you will spin the yarn eventually. Yeah, so it's not really working out for me with nothing holding the brush down, so I had to do something else. So this is how I ended up doing it. I just put my feet up on this container and then I put the brush in between my feet to hold it. That was also proving to be very difficult, but I literally had nobody else to hold it for me and I had nothing else, and I did not want to spend any more money on this project because I was only doing it the one time. Yeah, so I just kind of adjusted myself and eventually it did work, but it was really hard. So this is what it ended up like when it was finished, and then I just got to take that off the chopsticks, and that's the dreadlock thing I was talking about. I don't know what it's called, but then when you're ready to spin, you just pull little bits from it and then spin it. So this is after I made quite a few of them. It still didn't end up being enough, so I had to make more, but that got most of the project done. Spinning yarn for the first time was definitely a trial and error, so I actually did it a few times and it didn't work, so I pulled it apart, and then this is finally when it started to work. That's how much I had there, and I didn't film it just because I'd mucked up a few times, but it was starting to finally happen the way I liked it, and yeah, just needed to get some more. The one thing I noticed about spinning your own yarn is it's very hard to keep the same thickness of the yarn. So a lot of it there was really thin bits, and then a lot was really thick bits, and it was quite fluffy because it was pure alpaca wool. So this was a few days later. As you can tell, I've got my beautiful nails right there. Yeah, and I've definitely got a lot more now. And this is just what I did constantly. Just spin it, pinch it, pull it, all that sort of stuff you'll see in a minute. And I just did this for like a few days until I had enough yarn to make my project. I don't really know how to explain the process of the yarn spinning because I was just a beginner myself and I only did the one project, but you pull the fluff until it's like thin, as thick or thin as you want it, and then you twist this, yep, do that, um, and then you pinch it to where you're up to and then move up more and then release it and it will spin that part that you're holding. So see, yeah, that was very confusing. That's literally the best I can explain it. It took me a while to get it and learn it, and even now it's still not perfect when I do it. There were definitely some frustrating moments where I would pull it too much and the yarn would come apart and I would have to rejoin it, and sometimes I would get very frustrated. But as you can see there, the yarn is just getting more and more. So this is just very repetitive. Just keep going until you think you have enough yarn to make whatever you're making. So I made this alpaca pattern myself and I wanted to make a tester to see if I was happy with the pattern first. So this was the alpaca I made, and the only thing I changed with the new one was the size of the ears. But this was the tester alpaca to see if I liked the pattern, and I was quite happy with it. So I moved on. So I tend to get bored and jump ahead very quickly. So here I knew I didn't have enough wool yet for the complete alpaca and I still had more to spin, but I was getting really bored with just continuously spinning the yarn, so I thought I'd just start crocheting now and then make more if I needed more. So this is me finally joining the alpaca wool, because the feet I did in dark grey and then I came along with the alpaca wool and did the rest of it. But crocheting was very frustrating because it kept spinning and I didn't know how to fix that. So crocheting with it, you had to be very careful because it was quite fragile, and also it was super frustrating because it kept curling, and yeah, it was a very difficult project. So that's 2 legs down and I had 2 to go, and then crochet it all together. Surprisingly, I had enough yarn to make almost the whole alpaca, and I only had to spin just a little bit more. But this is me finishing the 4 legs put together, and then I'm going to move on to the body, and it's almost done. So this is just a time lapse of me making the alpaca. I don't have the pattern anymore, and I don't have the pattern anywhere, so it's kind of just a personal pattern. But you can find a lot of really cute alpaca patterns online and on YouTube. I found really helpful as well. And I am done the whole body, and I still have a little bit of yarn left. I just needed to make a little bit more for the head, and then the alpaca is done. And that is the head done. So now I just have to sew on the head, and I also forgot the tail, so I have to make that too. But yeah, I thought it looked pretty cool with like being pure alpaca wool. Some parts were a little shorter than others just because that was the part where it was thinner than rather than thicker. But overall, from scratch, it turned out pretty well. And I had to spin just a little bit more yarn, enough to make its tail. And there it is. I'm about to sew it on. As I said before, the sewing as well was very frustrating and very hard because it kept unraveling and then tangling, and then sometimes when I would pull it through, it would just fall apart because it started unraveling and then it became weak. So that was very frustrating, but I managed to do it. Yep, so as you can see there, it just did what I said. But luckily, I was finished sewing on the tail and only just needed to pull it through out the other side so it wouldn't unravel. Yay, so my little alpaca is complete. I wasn't 100% happy with the pattern, but I felt like it was very realistic. So it looked more like a real alpaca rather than like the cute style of alpaca, and that's what I was trying to go for. Okay, so I don't know what it's called, but the blanket on the back of the alpaca. I was going to crochet it, but then I realized I had some alpaca fabric, so I was going to make a little blanket out of the alpaca fabric. So this is what I'm doing, just making the shape and getting the sewing machine out and doing that. Yay, so here he is, completely finished. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't 100% happy with the outcome, but I still find it very cute, and I just need to put some tags on it and then wrap it up and send it. I tend to be a perfectionist when it comes to crocheting, so I was a bit unhappy with the ears and the face, but like looking at it from a different perspective, it's cute. It's a cute little reminder of the alpacas. So this alpaca will be going to the man that actually gave me the wool. He sadly had to get rid of his alpacas because he couldn't care for them anymore. So I wanted to make him something to keep the reminder of his alpacas with him always. And so you've come to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry I didn't have the pattern or anything like that, but just go on YouTube and there's like lots of free patterns on there and Pinterest and stuff. Yeah, so that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching my process of crocheting this cute little alpaca, and I'm so looking forward to sending it off to him. Okay, thanks so much, guys. Bye.